Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for our HubSpot webinar this month. Today's topic is scaling B2B outreach with AI and how to leverage some of the HubSpot Breeze intelligence tools so that you and your team can conduct smarter prospecting, build your pipeline, which will ultimately lead to hopefully an increase in revenue. There's a lot that we want to cover off on today. First, I'll just give you a quick overview on what some of those tools are in HubSpot. Maybe you've got some familiarity with it. Maybe this is the first time you're actually seeing any of these AI tools, but we'll at least give you an understanding of everything that's available in the platform today. We're going to walk you through a demo of how this looks in a B2B manufacturing setting. And then I've asked a program manager from HubSpot, Ms. Gina Dodds, to join me for a Q&A session that we'll cover off on at the end of the presentation. Again, thanks for your time. We hope you get a lot of value out of today's discussion. Who I am, first and foremost. So I'm Charles Buddy Custer. I'm Director of Growth Development here at Cultivate Communications. I've been here for about a year and a half now. Prior to coming on to Cultivate, I spent some time with an OEM selling capital equipment to large converters all around the world. What we were utilizing from a platform standpoint is probably very similar to maybe what you're using today. A lot of Excel spreadsheets, tracking conversations with customers, and a lot of time trying to remember who I talked to about what. As I've gotten more ingrained with HubSpot, I've recognized the power of the system and how it is a true enterprise tool. Today, I am using all of the AI tools to help drive my outreach activity and to cater my conversations with potential customers. Really, today, the reality of B2B has changed. When you see the number of emails that are coming into your inbox, if there isn't a level of personalization included with them, they're getting deleted almost instantaneously. And personalization isn't just, hi, your name here, and some quick bullet points that may or may not align with what you're feeling today from a pain standpoint. Personalization means actually understanding what you're trying to accomplish, who you're trying to sell to, in what industries, as well as some relevant news pieces that may be connected to the company itself. Sales teams are getting stuck conducting this research instead of actually being out and selling. And what AI is doing today, if your data isn't sound, it's really making that bad outreach and your poor customer profiles even worse. The shift that we're seeing today is we're moving from lead generation to signal-based outreach. What that means is AI is providing the capability to actually monitor intent signals and surface up those signals to you as a BDR or a sales representative to help capitalize on when somebody is actually looking for a solution. That AI outreach engine includes identity, enrich, interpret, and engage. When we talk about identity, we're trying to figure out who matters and who do we want to sell to. Enrichment is what do we know? Enrichment today can mean a lot when it comes to an information standpoint, and that information is there for you to mine and to help your selling activity. Interpret is what are they signaling? Are they coming onto your website and looking at your product today? How much time are they spending on those products and services? What are they really interested in potentially buying from you? And then engage. What do we want to say to them that's relevant with what they're feeling today? And how can we use AI to conduct that outreach? We're going to get into all of these tools that are listed here, from the prospecting agent, data enrichment capabilities in HubSpot, utilizing buyer intent signals, and then leveraging AI to craft outreach that's actually relevant to this audience. Breeze tools that are available for you today inside of HubSpot. The prospecting agent gives you the ability to monitor, research, and engage with leads automatically. It's conducting deep web research, pulling in information like quarterly news announcements, new hiring information at this certain company. How do we use this info to then start to build and engage with these leads automatically, setting a prospecting agent that is at a designed cadence, engaging with these prospects and helping build your funnel as a sales individual. It's also able to personalize message with different products and audiences. utilizing documents that you feed it to put relevant one-pagers in front of a potential new customer. Data enrichment has greatly changed over the last year and a half. You're now able to identify your target market, gauge intent from your website visitors, and easily enrich content and company data directly within HubSpot. The example I use is, say that you meet somebody at the trade show. They give you a business card. It's got generic information on it about who they are, what their title is, what their email is, and how to get a hold of them. You can now enter that information into HubSpot and use the enrichment platform to get company level detail like revenue, size of the company, industry information, all of this helping your sales activity and allowing you to ultimately drive revenue and unlock actionable insights that can be pulled into some of the personalization tools that HubSpot offers you today. Everything starts with solid data. If you don't have solid data, your AI activity is not going to perform the way that you want it to. Buyer intent can be brought across a lot of different channels and ways that prospects are engaging with your brand and your company across the web. Not only can it tell you who's doing what on your website and showing you information about that company specifically, saying that they visited your capabilities page maybe 3 times today, it'll also give you announcements like who'd they hire? Did they hire a new director of growth? Is this a growing company that you should maybe be targeting? Did they bring in a new operations manager? Are they putting in people in place to start to think about new capital equipment? All of these are intent signals that HubSpot allows you to monitor and help you understand what are these companies that you're targeting potentially researching today. When it comes to AI outreach, the possibilities are endless. If your data is sound and the CRM notes and the interaction and activity that you're having with prospects is all up to date, AI can actually utilize that information and data to start to craft what the messaging should be to these individuals. In our example here, we've got John Mueller as a VP of operations. AI conducted web research to understand, where is this company at? Are they ISO certified, as it mentions in the body of the email? What's some of the context-aware messaging that can be included? As many industrial OEMs are reassessing supplier activity capacity, as we think about reshoring, pulling some of that messaging into the email so that it's relevant to John and that he understands you understand their business, making him want to engage with you. As we go through these next few steps, just understand these can be crafted to your industry and your business so that it's relevant for who you want to talk to. Prospecting agent will find OEMs that are showing growth signals, and then it'll utilize data enrichment to tell you who they are and how they buy. It'll help you interpret their buyer intent signals, as I mentioned before, allowing you to focus only on those high value signals like capabilities page visits, certifications and compliance pages, RFQ or quote activity, and repeat visits. And we'll get into a little bit during the demo about how you can use automation and workflows to monitor those signals and then surface them up as tasks in your dashboard. So say somebody's spending time on your website and you don't even know that they're there. All of a sudden you'll get a task in your task list that says, hey, Bob was spending some time on the website. Here's what he was looking at. I suggest you follow up with them using real-time intent to engage with prospects when they want to be spoken to. And then utilizing AI to have true personalization, context-aware messaging, and a faster first touch, making sure that you're not missing out on opportunities. So at a high level, those are some of the great tools that HubSpot is offering today to help improve your outbound activity. As you can see, the possibilities with AI are endless. We're excited now to introduce Gina from HubSpot, who is able to join us for a Q&A session to talk about how HubSpot sees value in the tools that they are implementing and where they are seeing B2B companies succeed with HubSpot Breeze AI Intelligence. All right. Well, thank you, Gina, for taking the time to jump into the webinar session today. We've got some questions for you about Breeze AI tools that we want to jump to. But before we get into those questions, just wanted to give you a chance to kind of introduce yourself, tell us about your background at HubSpot and what you do every day.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on. So my name is Gina. I am a partner development manager at HubSpot. So I work with a group of partners to make sure that they are have what they need essentially to sell and service HubSpot. I've been at HubSpot for 9 years now, in a bunch of different departments, and yeah, I'm excited to be here today to talk a little bit about some of the AI tools and capabilities in HubSpot.
Awesome. Heck of a background. You've probably seen a lot in the HubSpot landscape over the years.
Yeah, it's been crazy to just see the evolution over the past 9 years. And I feel like we're in honestly like the biggest transformation when it comes to AI. So it's been really cool to like be a part of that history over the last 9 years and then just see like where things are going today. So it's been super exciting.
Cool. Well, so getting into the questions, we have a few submitted for this conversation. From your perspective, how are HubSpot's AI tools changing the way that B2B teams specifically are thinking about outreach and pipeline generation?
Yeah, for sure. Really good question. I feel like the biggest trend that I'm seeing is really the shift from like quantity to quality. So in the past, it was really like a more volume, more sequences mindset, but now we're transitioning to like focusing on the right account, right moment, right message mindset. And I think as a part of that, having the right context here is super key. So you know, AI is embedded directly into HubSpot's CRM. So with that, reps aren't just like sending more email without any context, but they're working smarter lists on better timed outreach and really with like way more context on each account than they had before. So I would say a few patterns within that really stand out. The first is like moving from manual research to AI powered prospecting. So with HubSpot's prospecting agent, it's really like an AI BDR. So it can research target accounts, monitor for signals, and draft highly tailored outreach. So reps wake up to a set of prioritized, ready to send emails. And then the second one is like moving from static lists to dynamic signal based pipelines. So, with things like buyer intent, research intent, and intent signals, they really help teams spot like who's actually in the market. You can, monitor for things like funding rounds, product launches, high intent page views. So, pipeline is really built around like actual buying behavior. And then the last thing I'd say is like moving from generic messaging to actual scaled personalization. So with AI generated sales emails and templates via the prospecting agent, reps can actually like personalize at scale and pull in company context, past interactions, and intent data, again, all from the CRM, while still editing for tone and accuracy. So it like actually sounds like them and not a robot. But I would say overall, to summarize that, the net effect is really that AI is like taking out a lot of the grunt work out of prospecting so that humans can spend more time on real conversations and deal strategy.
Cool. No, I really appreciate that perspective. For me, as I'm communicating about kind of the power of AI, especially from an outbound perspective, right? I mean, I kind of liken it to having a team of account executives or BDRs sort of underneath you that you're managing and that you need to have oversight on from a day-to-day standpoint. So you can see how they're engaging with prospects. What are they saying from a messaging standpoint? And then can kind of jump in at the right opportunity to then kind of take that lead and then hopefully nurture it to a closed state. So it's not like they're just out there running rampant by themselves. They've got pretty good oversight from a management standpoint.
Yep, exactly. And just like having that prospecting agent do all that research for you and then like actually create that, draft of the email, it just like takes out again, like so much of that like manual work. And then to your point, like, really almost acting as like a BDR in that way, which is awesome.
For sure. Cool. Jump to the second question. So we've talked a lot about using enrichment and buyer intent signals to guide outreach, and you kind of just mentioned it in your last answer as well. What are you seeing in terms of how companies are actually using these signals effectively versus just collecting data?
Yep. Yeah. It's so important because again, it's like you want to make sure that you're using the data in a way that makes sense and, in a way that's going to be effective. So I think the big difference that we're seeing like between teams that win with these signals and like teams that just have the signals is whether they treat them as like triggers for action instead of just like another dashboard or just more information. So we're seeing that like the best run organizations really decide up front which signals matter to them, like for which segments, and then what's going to happen once those signals fire. So really effective use has the following characteristics. The first is like, again, really clear, narrow definitions of what is high intent. So again, rather than tracking every single thing, they focus on a really small set of high value behaviors. So like example, target accounts that maybe they've hit the pricing demo pages, plus they show research intent on specific topics, and then use those to prioritize that SDR AE time and out and routing. And then the second is signals wired into workflows, again, not just reports. So like, what are the actions around it really? So signals like new funding, product launches, or leadership changes automatically enroll companies into plays, whether it's like updating their scores, creating tasks for the account owner, or triggering a tailored sequence instead of just relying on someone to check a view once a week. And then the third is like guardrails around enrichment and credits. So mature teams will tie their ICP, set rules for which tiers get tracked or enriched, and then cap automatic tracking so they're not burning credits on low volume traffic, which is especially important as both buyer intent and signals can consume HubSpot credits if they just are left completely open-ended and like not monitored. So that's important to factor in as well. But
sure.
Yeah, I think overall it's like when you have those characteristics, like the enrichment and intent stop just being like, oh, nice to have data, and then they become actually like how you're prioritizing your pipeline and then just designing your outbound motions.
For sure. I really like that you touched on the workflow and automation piece as a key next step after intent signals. For me, I was kind of want to understand how the agent can work and operate, right? And so it's a pretty manual process to at least learn about it. But now I've seen the full power of actually finding these intent signals and then pumping them right into an automated prospecting conversation, and the amount of time savings and efficiency there, I think is unrecognizable as you're doing this at scale, right?
Yeah, seriously. And especially like with the prospecting agent, like having those two modes, like the semi-autonomous and then the fully autonomous, like I know like, especially if you're just starting to use it, then folks are more comfortable doing the semi-autonomous so they can really like edit those emails, but then over time, like having it be fully autonomous and like having it just run. So it's like it's not just data to have, but it's like you're actually actioning that data at those specific times, which is great.
For sure. Yeah, to not have to like comb through marketing emails and be like, how many people opened this? How many people clicked on the page that we wanted them to actually engage with? That it's doing that in the background for you and then surfacing that up for you as a sales leader. I mean, I can't put a value on it as someone that's a head of business development group at our agency, right?
Yes, exactly. Like just the like amount of time saved, and then again, like having that like action, like that next action to take is super important.
For sure. Cool. Last question, and then I want to be cognizant of your time here. So there's a lot of hype around AI replacing parts of sales, right? Oh no, it's gonna take my job. How do you see the balance between AI generated outreach and the human element, especially in complex B2B sales like manufacturing or even the OEM relationships?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like this is something that we're hearing just all over the board, right? Like, how is AI going to impact everything, right? And I think there is an element for everybody that's like, how is AI going to like impact my job, really? But I think like the way that I see it, and like especially if we want to take this into the lens of like complex B2B, like especially like manufacturing and like the OEM, like AI is not going to replace the relationship, but it will replace the busy work around the relationship. Like, I think that's the best way to think about it. Like in this industry, like the cycles are long, they're cross-functional, and then they're high risk. And at the end of the day, though, buyers like still need a human that they trust to navigate like trade-offs, politics, and like those technical nuances. So I think the healthy pattern that I'm seeing is like using AI as a teammate, not a closer. Again, we kind of talked about like some of the like enrichment data and some of the intent signals. Like the agents and the AI assistants and the agents will handle the research, all of that like background work really, so that sellers can show up to every interaction being better prepared and just like more relevant without having to spend those hours in spreadsheets, Google tabs, really wherever to get that information. And then again, humans are the ones that are actually like owning the discovery, the consensus, and the commitment. Like in manufacturing OEM deals specifically, the hard work is like aligning engineering, operations, procurement, finance, and legal. Like that's all stuff that AI is not going to be able to do. It's still very much a human job, but it's again like AI is just making sure that the humans are able to show up to these conversations with the right context so that they're prepared. And then I think the last thing is like meeting customers where they are on AI maturity. So like many industrial buyers are still super early in their AI journey.
Sure.
So like rather than pushing them into a fully autonomous agent world, like we see success with teams starting like with a co-pilot and use cases, like better prospecting, smarter prioritization, and then stronger outreach. Really only introducing more automation once value and guardrails are clear and like really in like different phases. So again, I think like AI is going to be like doing like 70% of the work behind the scenes, but like humans are still going to own 100% of like that human interaction and then the moments that like are actually going to be moving a complex deal forward.
Yeah. Yeah. That the crawl, walk, run component to it, right? Can't just fully automate everything without the right guardrails in place, or you could end up in a spot where your data is not optimized and the results that you're getting from AI are just on the complete opposite end of the spectrum from what you were hoping for. And now that the time that you've wasted going down that path could be pretty significant. And I like how you approach it from a start to maybe play around with the prospecting and the research piece. Make sure that it's surfacing up the right individuals and then start to maybe play around with the AI outreach component of it as well, right? I mean, am I kind of hearing you right there?
Yeah, exactly. I think, and like the other thing too is like, even like, I know we talked about like with specifically the prospecting agent, right? Where like there is a setting that you can like totally just let it run. Like, even in those situations, like there's like, no matter what you're setting up from an AI perspective, like you should never just let it fully run without any human oversight. So it's like, there's a couple things. So yes, like, almost like setting up like AI setup in phases where it's like crawl, walk, run, like you mentioned. And then even when you're at that run phase, it's like you should always be monitoring what AI is doing. And again, that like ties in that like human element of like there's always going to need to be human oversight for these processes.
For sure. Love it. Human led. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, those were the questions that we had. Gina, super appreciate your time and being willing to jump onto the webinar, just offer your perspective on how you see HubSpot AI tools evolving and supporting the manufacturing space specifically. We're excited about the investment that HubSpot's making in AI, and it's pretty noticeable the improvement that they've had in tools in just the first 5 months of the year here, and can't wait to see what happens come Unbound later this year as well. So thanks, Gina, for your time. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks again, Gina, for taking the time to join us today and talk about some of the new features and AI tools that HubSpot has to offer. As you heard, the Breeze Intelligence tools and the AI agents that are available can really help improve your outreach activity today. Between monitoring buyer intent signals and leveraging the prospecting agent, we really are at a place where true personalization is possible. These tools need human oversight, and they should be treated like SDRs with proper management. You should be able to interject and improve the outreach that these agents are communicating on a daily basis. It's with that oversight to where you'll really tap into the potential and the value that they have to offer. We're here to help. At Cultivate, we would love to dive into your HubSpot portal and understand how you're using it today and if you're ready for AI. There's steps that we can take by looking at your ICP and looking at key foundational elements that will set you up for success with any of the AI agents that make sense for the industries that you work in. We'd love to grow together. Please reach out. You've got my email, and we hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Thanks, everyone.